Kahalo Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Bashim Dash, double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone of rule well. I am not a member, however, I've entered into their labors. Peace and mercy to the sincere brothers and sisters, students, wherever you are, whatever your lot may be. It's another quick one, a cover of Shaheed Bolson. And we're going to let him do most of it. We'll add a little commentary here and there, but and we'll get some scriptures. But also there's something he's going to say at the very end that, or closer to the end, that really piqued my interest. And that will be the focus. However, we're just going to let him finish here. And all of this is because, one, the earth was given into the hand of the wicked, right? And the only reason that the wicked, for their short time, for their short season, can prosper is because of our failure, our blunder as the people. The protagonists being the Israelites and the antagonists being the Edomites, right? That is what, on the world stage, those are the most important player characters in this movie. All right, everyone else is simply extra. They are just extras. They're also, but the extras do have their part to play, especially in the time to come. Right, we are in the end times, obviously. And I want to read really quick 2 scriptures. This will be, well, really 3. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 5, and is it 28? Yes. 2nd Ezra chapter 5 and 28. And now, O Lord, why hast thou given this one people over unto many? Right, we have gone into many captivities, this being the worst. And upon the one root hast thou prepared others. And why hast thou scattered thy only one people among many? All right, and because we failed, we blundered. We had a contract, we breached said contract, and we pretty much recompensed, we were recompensed for our blunder, our failure. But I want to go to Isaiah 60 and 2. And I'm going to read this in the NLT, okay? And this is because we also need to read Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. I think that's 6 and 9. So let's go to 2nd Ezra. Let me get to the next chapter before we go to the video. Oh, here we go. 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. Yeah, okay. I'm going to start at 7. Yeah. Then answered I and said, what shall the parting asunder of the times be? When shall the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac unto Jacob. And if you've been in the scriptures for any amount of time, you know that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that pattern is a very specific pattern that is repeated over and over and over for a reason, because bloodlines matter. This is not a universalism. This is not a come one, come all. Bloodline matters, not skin color, all right? None of that. It is about who your father is or was, okay? Anyway, we'll go ahead and continue to read here. And he said unto me, from Abraham to Isaac, from Abraham unto Isaac, and let me slow down. Start this over. 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, good grief. 6 and 8, good grief. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand first held the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. All right, and then the angel tells Ezra not to ask anything else on the matter, right? And then we'll read that. The hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other questions Ezra asked thou not. All right, so he's like, when the time is right, the time is right. Don't ask anything else, basically. Okay, there is your hint on where we're at in I guess, for lack of a better term. Oh no, we'll just say in prophecy. In the countdown to when the earth can be restored properly. Okay, so we got that. Let me get Isaiah 60, all right? Arise, or this is at the top. Arise, Jerusalem, let your light shine for all to see, for the glory of the Lord rises to shine on you. Darkness as black as night covers all the nations of the earth, but the glory of Yahweh rises and appears over you. And that is what's slowly and surely beginning to happen. We're seeing that nothing ever happens as a snap of a finger. It is a gradual series of events that begin to uncover. It's like peeling back layers of an onion, right, until you get to the core. All right. Verse 60, all nations will come to your light. Mighty kings will come to see your radiance. All right. And, the light, the true light on the right-hand side is Yahweh Shai. And his people, okay, being under the proper vibration, all right, that light is shared unto them. Okay. So there's our first couple opening scriptures that, went a little bit off subject, but not really. It'll tie all together. Because what you're seeing now is a lulled to sleep American people. However, that is slowly but surely, or I shouldn't even say slowly, it is surely being overturned, right? The man of sin has been revealed, and with the man of sin being revealed are all of his wicked acts, right? He cannot be the man of sin if he did not do certain, vile and atrocious things that are being uncovered. All right, and even so much so that these folks, they have to address these things, right? The welfare state of over there, with the people that don't belong, all of the different Freedom of Information Acts that have been released. There's so much. There's too many things to go into. And all we need is just going to be one big event that I think will, or maybe a couple big events that will initiate that privacy in 2nd Ezra 15, right? Neighbor against neighbor, invading in one another's house. We'll get that as well. So let's go ahead and let Shahid do his thing.
The Epstein list, release the files and so on. Why? Why? You already know a huge number of people who were associated with Epstein. Clinton, Dershowitz, Chomsky, Steve Bannon, Donald Trump, Peter Thiel. So what? What have you done about it? Nothing. What have you done? So why would any more names make a difference if you got more names? What's the difference? It's just more people that you won't do anything about. More crimes that you won't do anything about. You just keep asking for the files, actually, as a way to justify or to rationalize you not doing anything. Like, if only we had the files, we'd take action. Too bad they won't release the files, otherwise we would go completely ballistic. No one believes you. You're not fooling anyone. It's like those old cartoons, right, where they draw a line on the floor and tell their enemy, if you cross this line, you'll be sorry. And it keeps getting crossed. He just steps right over it, and then you just keep drawing a new line. This is you. This is the American people right now. I mean, look at all of the hideous things that have come out in the last several months or the last couple of years about the elite. During the Diddy trial, for example, all the testimonies, all the trafficked women, and then what? All the testimonies around Epstein, and then what? Now you have this Sasha, what's his name? Sasha Ryan, talking about all the terrible things that's supposed to have happened to him. Nothing happened. ICE raids, nothing happened. ICE murders, nothing happens. You've got lynchings, nothing happens. ICE murdering people literally in the street, nothing happens. Why on earth would they be afraid to release the Epstein files when you have given them every possible assurance that you will reliably not do anything whatsoever?
And make no mistake, who they really want a rise out of is Jake. Okay, and Jake ain't going, right? We ain't no, for the most part, they ain't marching, which I never understood why you would fill out a permit to be allowed to march. You get permission from the very institution, from the very system that you want to protest against. Okay, that what? But anyway. Since, it's time to stand against the wiles of the devil, we'll read Ephesians 6:11. Put on all of Yahweh's armor. No, we'll go back to the KJV. This is NLT. Let's go back to the KJV. Put on the whole armor of Yahweh that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, right? Why? Because we wrestle not against, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, excuse me, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And they are doing their damnedest to stand with their enchantments. Okay, and as you can see that, as he's saying that the, mystery Babylonian citizens are not doing anything, that's going to change here pretty soon. You're starting to see even even the average Joe Smo is like, oh, okay. I think I seen one video where the dude was like, no more ballot box. Now it's time for the bullet box, right? And as Jake, as those of us who understand and know, you cannot offset prophecy. This has to happen, and your ass don't need to be in the middle of none of it. All right, if you are a believer, okay, you need to just continue to be under the proper vibration. All right, continue to pray, continue to be repentant, and continue to follow the law, statutes, and commandments, and just walk in your faith, walk in your belief. All right, not being afraid. Stay, rebuke those things, those thoughts of fear. Because carnally, this is a scary time. Carnally, you'll have that natural feeling. But you've got to, lean on what you need to lean on. You've built yourself up. From the time when everybody was thinking that you were crazy, from the time where they had some sort of, their fake similitude of peace and safety. All right, but the veil was lifted off of you early for a reason. You invested early. Don't forget about the inner man that you've built. When these, when this thing comes to a head. All right, and you need to put on the full armor. Because you got to stand against the wiles of the devil. And these AI videos, they're making these, these new Black Panthers and all this other stuff. They're trying. We read the scriptures. Let me just let them go.
You've shown that, you've proven that time and time again. Except maybe you'll go on the internet and send a vague SOS to the rest of the world about all the bad things that are happening over there. You've got tens of thousands of kids being abducted in your country and trafficked every year in your country. Tens of thousands of kids, one of the highest rates in the world. Meanwhile, supposedly you've got cameras everywhere. Supposedly your phones are watching and listening to everything, listening to you. They know what you're looking at. They know they know where you are. They know what you're thinking and so on, just to send you ads and whatnot. But meanwhile, children keep disappearing without a trace. What are you doing about it? You've got all these guns. You've got all this bravado. I'm telling you, ICE is going to have to end up having some of their officers take off their masks and start posing as their own opposition groups just to make it look like you people are actually responding to anything. Well,
boom. That's what we wanted. Controlled opposition. And that is a key tactic of E. That is what they do. All right. You see them fires, and they said, or they become their own they have to be their own villain and then play the victim. That is a wile of the devil. That is one of his tricks, and he ain't got many. They've done the same thing over and over and over. They do it to themselves and blame somebody else. Furthermore, that is why they want to put Jake as the face of opposition, because that's who their target really is. All right, so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American. All right, they built justification for the northern tribes, right? Because they're illegals, right? And illegal is an action. Okay, that is not the descriptor of a person. Illegal describes a breaking of a law. Okay, but anyway, then will be the Southern Kingdom. They are already out there in Minnesota. Okay, I think there's something that happened in Chicago a few months back. But all of this will come to a head. There has to be some sort of event, something, and it will be here very soon. 2026 is going to be, or is interesting, and will get even more interesting, even more scary for those who are not of, who don't treat the Lord's name as their strong tower.
You're comatose. You're absolutely comatose. This is what I mean. No moral grounding. No real moral framework. No real moral structure. You don't know what morality is supposed to look like in practice. Because in practice, doing nothing against oppression and against injustice, doing nothing is approval. When you talk about practical morality. I mean, you're talking about...
Right, and furthermore, this wasn't a big issue until, everyday E started being affected. Right? because when Jake was getting gunned down and hung and all these different things, and black, so-called black folks was throwing a fit, it was okay, whatever. But now that he's being affected, now we need to come together. Now we need to act. It is us against them. What does Ecclesiasticus tell you? Ecclesiasticus 12:10, right? Let's get that real quick before we end this. Never trust thine enemy. And these people are your enemy. Because if the coin was to flip, or if the light was to flip and everything would be returned to normal, you would be back at the bottom, mistreated, overlooked, unfairly unfairly judged. All right, and justice would never prevail. There is no true justice. And he spoke on morality. These people don't have morality. As the leader is, so is the people. They're more angry about being treated like niggas. So of course not. Mystery Babylon is not the land of morality. Never has been. Ever since they came over here and stole, grape, rob, murder, steal, kill, destroy, morality has no place for that. All right, they are clean contrary. All right, we read that in Wisdom of Solomon in a previous video. This is Ecclesiastes 12:10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and that thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. What does that look like in practice? Right, you band together with, with an E, a true E, not somebody who looks like an E but is actually a Jake. You band together with them. And then they got to have a little bit more than you. Fairness is not their thing. They revel and they celebrate mediocrity. Jake has always had to be better at everything just to be looked at as equal. All right, if it came down to an even split of food, if it came down to 10 pounds of beans, they wouldn't split it 5 pounds each. Or they would do something to your beans. Because I gotta survive. I got me. That's what it would look like in practice. And this got off subject, but hey, we got off subject a couple times. But yeah, the point of this video is that gross darkness, and that being lulled to sleep, is slowly but surely uncovering. Okay, we can just go to 2 Ezra 15. We'll go there real quick. Because you're going to see these uproars, these manufactured famines, and these, this impending technological slavery is going to cause some folks to lose their shit. All right, when people got nothing else to lose, they lose it. All right. So here it is. We'll read 2 Ezra 15:5. Behold, and then we'll kind of skip down. I just want to get a couple of points, and then that'll be it. Behold, saith Yahweh, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Right. So everything that they've done, it has now been fulfilled. Right, and that is the love between Jacob, or the Yahweh and Jacob, and the hate between Yahweh and E. Or Jake was judged immediately. All right. Because remember, that cup, he allowed that cup to fill over, and then we would render unto them double. So that cup is going to fill with them. He's going to allow them to keep digging themselves deeper hole. While with Jake, you get punished almost immediately, right? He doesn't let your sin turn into iniquity, right? Sin on top of sin. Anyway, let's keep going. Therefore, saith Yahweh, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and the righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. Now, 2/3 of our people are going to share that you know, the 2/3 of Jake is going, and these heathen, they're going to share a judgment on this side, right? 10 and 11, he was bringing us forward with a mighty stretched out hand. And we'll skip down to 12. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plagues and punishment that Yahweh shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blastings and the hail, and with fearful constellation. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand and fight up against another, and swords in their hands. All right, for there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. All right, that is on its way. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. All right, and then, you know, we going into the third woe. Okay, so there's turmoil, internationally and with on the domestic front. And you're seeing the block that once fragile piece of E's hegemony is being, well, it's always been fragile, but that once looked strong but has been a hollow center, right? You're seeing that NATO, EU, Babylon, all of that, they historically have had a hollow bind or hollow bond. Okay, it was by PVC pipe. If you cut it in half, there's nothing in the middle. There's no substance. Because that is who they are. A legacy of betrayal. And you see, as it says in the book of Matthew, right? Yahweh Shai said that Satan be divided against Satan, how that kingdom can't stand. So you're witnessing the crumble. The crumbleation, if you will. So with that, I pray that you are edified. All right, you know that he is coming down with great wrath here. So continue, like I said, be repentant, walk uprightly, pay attention to what's going on with you, and don't focus on things that don't matter. All right, really be introspective and focus on what's important. Okay, and there's nothing wrong if, I get it, things get heavy in the flesh. You just be like, oh, I need to go to a park or go to a beach and just kind of decompress. Do that. But just bear in mind, do not completely let your guard down. Don't think that anything will be returned to so-called normal, all right? Shalom.